The Dow Jones has basically joined the S&P 500 in a bear market. Despite the government's attempts to lie about whether or not we're actually in a recession or whether or not we're in what I've been saying for like the last 2 years is actually stagflation. Well, they can't lie about it anymore because the thing about it is when the Dow dropped to below 30,000, even though the Dow is not in and of itself a perfect barometer of the overall economy, the problem is the Dow does point to enough companies, enough major U.S. corporations to start to tell you a story of at least what's happening on Wall Street. See, the problem that I think a lot of people don't understand, when Trump was in office during 2018 and 2019, we were actually entering a recession then. And that's before coronavirus. We were entering a recession. Now, if you really look back at the news stories, you'd see that Trump was trying to challenge the Fed to change interest rates because he knew that the interest rates were hurting his presidency. But again, I've asked this question before. If the Federal Reserve can arbitrarily raise and lower interest rates, regardless what political impact it has for a president or Congress, then I have to ask the question, who's actually in charge of this country? Because it almost seems to me like the Federal Reserve is like a star chamber or a secret government. But that's besides the point. What I'm saying is we've been in recession since at least 2019. Entering COVID and shutting down our production and having poor government policy surrounding COVID, in my opinion, pushed us into stagflation. Now, I'm sure there's 1,000 economists out there who argue with me and tell me I'm wrong, tell me I don't know nothing. I'm pretty sure the government can give you more fake numbers and keep telling you, oh yeah, well, don't worry, it's transitory. Inflation's transitory. Don't worry about it. I'm sure they can keep printing more and more welfare checks and they can tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure they can keep giving you more PPP, payroll protection money that people are going to steal and use to buy Lamborghinis and Porsches and Ferraris and Teslas. I'm sure they'll be able to come back at me and say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. You're just some dummy from New York. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm fairly certain there's plenty of critics. I'm fairly certain there's plenty of people who can tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm sure there are. But it's kind of like in that movie JFK where they say, listen, they can tell you all this bullshit, but I want you to think about what you see with your eyes and what you hear with your ears. I want you to think about the fact that you can't even afford to go out and buy a house because the average starter home has exceeded $500,000. I want you to remember that average starter home, not only has it exceeded $500,000, the interest rates have been pushed up to 6.75. And the lowest you might see is a 6. So making that $500,000 starter home unaffordable for a new couple, newlyweds. But simultaneously, you can't even afford to go out and buy an apartment. Here in New York City, and I've showed you this, the average apartment in Manhattan specifically has exceeded $4,000 a month. In Brooklyn, the average apartment is at least $3,000 a month. If you move into Queens, the average apartment's about $2,500 a month. Now, that's just New York, and yes, New York is a very expensive place to live. That's where I live, and I'm able to make it. But when you look across this country, the only places you can even buy relatively affordable houses is states that nobody wants to live in. So I'm pretty sure I'll get my share of critics to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the government can publish more fake numbers, and tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. Fine. My point is they can't lie about these numbers. What do they say? Numbers don't lie, but people can lie about numbers? They can't lie about this Dow Jones. This shit is under $30,000. I was fortunate in that when I saw oil go down because I understood what the government was doing. See, I don't trust anything they fucking say, okay? When they tell me left, I say right, fuck it. If they say the sky's blue, I say it's yellow. If they say the sky's black, I say it's blue. I don't trust anything they say. I realized what they were doing with oil. See, ultimately, some people, what is it? Maverick of Wall Street calls sticking it to Putin, and they're willing to crash the economy and do whatever it takes to screw with these Russian sanctions and whatnot. When I realized what they were doing, I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start selling these oil stocks so I'll have that money built up so I can buy my Cadillac electric car, my Cadillac Lyric, right? And that was really my main focus. Now, as you've probably seen by watching my show, you've seen me spend $4,000 within the last month. I bought an iPhone 1 terabyte deep purple. I just went out and bought myself a fucking Desert Eagle 50 caliber L5 edition. And I spent some other money that you don't know about. But the bottom line is, I still got my money ready for that Lyric. And I cashed out a good share of oil stock because I knew I want to buy that car. I want to buy that car cash. I don't want to have a loan on it. And the bottom line is, I saw this coming because it's obvious that just to fight these Russian sanctions, what they did was they started artificially suppressing the energy market. They told these states to cancel their gas taxes. New York State had like a 48-cent gas tax. We are raising a $600 million deficit by December. Guess what? The news, the professionals on MSNBC, the professionals on CNN, the professionals on Fox, nobody's talking about that. I'm the only one who's talking about that because I know. See, if you tell me that you're fucking me and you try to turn my attention, I'm not going to turn my attention. I'm going to keep paying attention to the fact you're fucking me. We're going to be a $600 million deficit by December because they had to cancel that gas tax. Guess what? That means New York State taxes going up. New York City taxes may go up as well. Long Island taxes tend to just go up anyway. So yeah, that's going to probably happen. Not only that, we've been dipping into the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, which means that we've basically been selling ourselves gasoline because the Strategic Reserve is just there in case of war. So my thing is, it's no longer a strategic petroleum reserve. It's more like a political petroleum reserve. There should have been a law passed a long time. See, this is why I hate the Congress. This is why. They know that there's back doors that a politician can use in order to save their bullshit that they're doing, their presidency, their congressional seat, whatever. Instead of passing laws to make it impossible for them to do these things, they let that shit sit and they want you not to pay any attention to it. I pay attention to that shit. There should be a law passed that says you're not allowed to go into the Strategic Petroleum Reserve unless there's a war. What would happen if we suddenly went to war tomorrow? Like when Japan bombed Pearl Harbor. What would happen if we had a war tomorrow? You tell me. Well, we've already used up a large amount of our Strategic Petroleum Reserve and we have to refill it now. So now, not only is it going to cost more money to refill it, bottom line is they should have had a law that says you're not allowed to do that. So I'm not going to harp on that too long. My point is that, as you can see, the Dow is still under $30,000. It's still under 30,000. Today is September 27, 10:33. Now, some people think there's going to be a housing crash. Some people think that there's going to be a crash like 2020. It's not going to happen that way. We're having a dip. We're having a crash. But I just want you to even just look at the numbers. It's still 29,000. We're not going back to, what is this, March 2020 when it dipped as low as 19,000. The reason why that's not going to happen, and over time, I keep saying the Dow is going to keep going up simply because of the inflation. The Dow is going to keep going up simply because there's a large amount of inflation in the stock market. But the thing that I want to point your attention to is the fact that there were things that happened in 2020 that I don't think those things are ever going to happen again, at least not in that order, or at least not in that time frame. First of all, in 2020, when we had the COVID pandemic shutdown in 2020 in March, that shut down our production and it shut down our economy. But the Federal Reserve and the government were printing welfare checks to hand out called stimulus checks. And that was raising up demand. I don't think that's going to happen again. First of all, I really don't think we're ever going to shut down this economy again, because I think once they saw what happened this time around, I don't think that's going to happen again. That's number one. Number two, during about right before we had the COVID pandemic, if you remember, Russia and Iran had an oil battle and they were trying to outproduce each other. By trying to outproduce each other, they had made so much oil that oil prices started going down simply because of that. And the problem with that is when you produce energy and you produce large amounts of energy, that causes the economy to shift because now people are no longer worried about energy costs. This country gets by controlling energy costs and manipulating energy costs. I think that's obvious now. OPEC, for example, they're forced to deal in US dollars. You see what we're trying to do to Russia, but the reason why the sanctions don't work is because Russia has energy stability. That's the reason why the sanctions don't work. So what they've tried to do is go about it a different way and attack the value of the money. The Federal Reserve raising interest rates is the way, basically, that they're going about that. If you attack the value of the money itself, then you can have an effect on the other people's economies. The problem is you're hurting your own economy. As you've seen, Federal Reserve raises rates, Dow, boo. Federal Reserve raises rates, cryptocurrency market, down, straight fucking down. The other thing besides the Russia-Iran energy battle that they had was also that we had the lowering of the interest rates to sub-zero, basically. Now, the real interest rates that you could get were not negative. However, the interest rates were so low that, again, during that time, I told everybody I could, family and friends, refinance your house immediately. They got 3%, 15-year fixed, 10-year fixed, 30-year fixed. I made sure as many people as I knew refinanced. I did my best to make sure as many people as I knew bought houses. A lot of people didn't listen to me. They ran out and bought fucking cars, Dodge Charger this, Dodge Challenger that, Hellcat this, Trackhawk that. And now they regret it because since the COVID pandemic ended, gas prices right through the fucking sky. Do you remember how the crypto boys were talking about we're going to the moon? Gas prices went to the fucking moon. I don't remember the last time I saw $7 fucking dollars or $8 on a gas sign. Hurricane Katrina was the first time in my life I saw gas go anywhere near that high. And that was a national emergency because Gulfport Energy was pretty much knocked out. But now, who do you blame this on? Who do you blame it on? So, simply put, they are suppressing the energy market. And as I'm going to show you, gas prices have been rising because I'm just going to talk a little bit about wealth in general. And I'm going to talk just a very little bit about the stock market. They lowered interest rates, they printed welfare checks, and those moves promoted unhealthy malinvestment into the market, specifically with those Reddit short squeezes, those crypto bull runs, those PPP loan scams. Let me tell you something. I feel bad for anybody who's stupid enough to think that cryptocurrency is coming back. It keeps dipping to 18. It can't find its legs, and there's a simple reason. It's because they've basically hit bottom. All of those people who bought in between 50,000 and 68,000, thinking that they were going to 100,000, well, I don't know what to tell you because it's not going to happen. The economic market conditions required to take this shit to 100,000, specifically Bitcoin, those economic conditions no longer exist. They told you, oh yeah, don't worry, it's a hedge, inflation. You can inflation, the hedge, you can hedge. They didn't even know what the fuck they were talking about. Oh, it's a hedge against inflation. Don't worry, you buy Bitcoin, your money will be worth blah, blah, blah. Guess what? The people who bought Bitcoin when that shit was like less than $500, they got a bit of a hedge inflation because they've got your money to do it. You bought in later. You have no one else to hold that bag but you. You screwed yourself. What did they say? You played yourself. That's what you did. You played yourself. Congratulations. You have a worthless bag of Bitcoins. Congratulations. Congratulations. Your only hope to even hope to recoup your money is to wait until Bitcoin rises just a little bit and then sell. And that's it. And chances are you're not going to get back what you put into it. Chances are. Because, and you know, it's funny, like I think about Ethereum. I know people who were running up to me and, oh yeah, well, look at this. I bought a whole Ethereum. I bought 2 whole Ethereums. I bought 3 or 4 Ethereums. Look at that. I put $10,000. I put 15,000. Where the fuck is it now? 1,386. Now, your boy, Big Truck right here, what was I telling you to do? I was telling you to invest in oil. When oil went negative, I was like, yo, get your money together, get into oil. But no, not you. Oh, no. Reddit's having a short squeeze. I'm putting my money in GameStop. Where the fuck is GameStop now? Oh, no. I got to get the Bed Bath & Beyond. Bed Bath & Beyond. Then we're going to have a short squeeze. We going to the moon. Where the fuck is Bed Bath & Beyond now? Where is it? You tell me. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh, no. I got to put my money in BlackBerry. BlackBerry, you know those people who used to make those phones where they had the click with the keyboard that clicks? Where's BlackBerry now? You tell me. You tell me. I give up. I really do. I really give up. I give up. See, it's easier for me to just make and spend money than it is for me to tell you dumb motherfuckers anything. It really is, because I don't even have to waste my voice. I don't. You can watch me go buy my Cadillac and charge that shit in my house. You can watch me buy fucking $2,000 and $3,000 guns and go shoot off fucking $200 worth of ammo. I just give up. I'm tired of it. I'm just tired. It's like the more you say, the more people ignore it. Whatever. And I think the thing that bothers me most about what happened as the government was inflating its own bubble, I think the thing that bothers me more than anything is that these news media companies, these people who call themselves professionals, these people who are nothing more than fucking worthless actors, they convinced you by pumping your mind full of this shit every day. CNBC, MSNBC, Fox Business, these people had your mind pumped up with this idea that you were going to be a billionaire by buying motherfucking Shiba Inu. They had you convinced that by buying into Dogecoin, that you were going to the moon. They had you convinced that. And those liars, those are your professionals. Those are the people you trust to deliver the news. Those are the people you trust. And they flat out lied to you. I had never heard an apology. They lost a large amount of your money. I never heard an apology. Maybe you heard one. I never heard one. I never heard CNBC, MSNBC, or Fox Business. I never heard them come out and say, yes, well, we here as a network, we just like to tell you that, most of the time we get things right, but sometimes we get things wrong. And we just like to apologize to you stupid motherfuckers for convincing you to go out and buy crypto, and then you being stupid enough to actually go and do it. Meanwhile, while our Congress women, while Nancy Pelosi's out there buying NVIDIA and dividend-paying stocks in semiconductors, we're telling your stupid ass to go out and buy Shiba Inu because it's got a picture of a dog holding ninja stars. We told you to go out and buy Dogecoin. That's what we told you to do. And you were dumb enough to listen to us. I've never heard them apologize. Maybe you have. I haven't. I could go on about this for days, but I'm not going to, because I'm going to get right to my important. So my personal index, Mangoat, is holding its own. Tech is down, but then again, just about the entire freaking market is down. I am not worried about that, though. Right now, we're still dealing with Russia versus Ukraine. Right now, we're still approaching the November elections. Things are going to change very soon after those November elections are done. But what doesn't change is the fact that technology is still one of the largest drivers of the market here in America. Most of my tech stocks still pay their dividend, and I keep them because they still pay their dividend. Now, Google is down. Google is definitely on sale. So if you're the type of person who actually has $1,000 or something and you want to put it into a stock, you could buy 10 shares worth of Google. I own more than that. I own more than that in Amazon. 10 is a low number. But the bottom line is Amazon, Google, they're still going to continue to be Amazon and Google. Google makes a lot of products like these phones and these tablets and these drones and all this stuff. So the bottom line is these companies are still growing. Right now, everything's in a rut. But the thing about it is these companies are still growing. This is my main index right here. There are a couple of other stocks that I also buy into that I haven't added into my main index, Mangoat. But the bottom line is that, hey, listen, either you're in it or you're not. Now, there are other major things about tech, specifically with electric vehicles. Like people keep asking, where should they be putting their money for the quote unquote next big thing? I don't really believe in the next big thing right now. The next big thing, as far as I'm concerned, is electric vehicles. Electric vehicles, Tesla, for one thing, they have the lion's share when it comes to desirability and tech. Everybody wants a Tesla. When Tesla changes the design of those cars or they make the Model 4, believe me, that stock is going to keep on going up. I was hoping it would drop below 250 while this market is currently on sale, because if it dropped below 250, I was going to put $3,000 more into it. This is post split because I already still own some, but I was going to put a little bit more money into it. Thing about it is I'm just going to keep that money on the side and I'm just going to wait and watch. I've bought shares in Rivian. I've bought shares in, what is it called? Rivian and Lucid. Yes, Lucid Air. Like Lucid Air is the model they make now. Fisker, and what is this? FUV. I forget who they are. What is these people's name? FUV. There's a lot of these stocks, but they're still basically low simply because those EV makers have not been able to build their cars to scale yet. One of the reasons why I don't mind investing in Ford, and I invested in Stellantis, and I invested in GM is simply because they build cars to scale. If you give them a car design, like for example, if Ford or GM or Stellantis had to build a Tesla Model S, they'd turn those cars out 2 or 3 times faster than Tesla does it. I also happen to believe that GM, Stellantis, and Ford probably could do a better job on build quality. For right now, however, you're stuck with Tesla, and the people who want Tesla. Those cars suck, in my opinion. The interior needs to be improved. In fact, if I gave them a couple of pointers, I could make that a much better interior, but they already know what they're not giving you. They're just not going to give it to you because they're building them as cheap as they can. So my thing is, the people who want those cars, they want them because they're luxury items. When I get my Cadillac, I'm not getting it simply because it's a luxury item. I'm getting it because it's practical. But that's just how I feel about it. So yes, there's a lot of tech. All of it's on sale right now. The entire market is on sale right now. You have a great chance to buy into some of those techs, electric vehicles being one of my favorites. As far as mining stocks, oil's bull run for right now, I think, is over. Right now, oil is a bear market, again, because the government is artificially suppressing energy. Lithium mining stocks, those are definitely going to be big because lithium, cobalt, and a couple of other elements, those are specifically being mined specifically by the Chinese. Chinese are mining these things. And China is right now going to go through hell because their real estate market has collapsed in certain areas, and they're having civil unrest of various forms. Now, China is a government where I don't expect that to last very long. I think China is going to handle that. I think China is going to handle their banking situation that's related to real estate. I believe that they'll be fine in the long run. So ultimately, these lithium mining, these things are doing just well. As far as oil, I would say that oil's bull run for the most part, as far as I'm concerned, has ended. I do believe that the oil companies, the individual oil companies, and the individual oil drilling and energy discovery, I think over time, I mean, they'll be fine ultimately, but I think what pushed them to their highs was obviously Russia versus Ukraine. Because, see, when Russia comes out and says, yeah, we're not going to give y'all oil, we're not going to give y'all gas, well, basically all of the oil companies and all the mining and energy discovery, they have to pick up the slack. And By Russia invading Ukraine, that pushed oil to all-time highs. Anybody who listened to me and bought SM or SLCA for hydrofracking, anybody who bought those, you saw yourself gain money quicker than you ever could have imagined. Good for you. But to tell you the truth, because of how this government is suppressing energy, I expect, and I'm going to show you the article, but I expect that as soon as the November elections end, that's when you're going to see you're going to see this economy's real true face. You're going to see its true face come back. Because see, it's one thing when the government is scared and they're afraid they're all going to lose their fucking seats, or they're afraid they're going to lose their presidency, or they're afraid they're going to lose the power of their presidency because they're going to lose their majority. Yeah, it's one thing to look at what the market looks like then when they've started all these suppression techniques. It's a whole nother thing after that election day is over. November 9th, you're going to see this government's true colors. All of a sudden, all these subsidies are going to dry up. All of a sudden, all this energy, gas, suppression of prices is going to dry up. Once these people secure their seat for another 2 years, or once these presidents, since they secure their seat for another 4 years, or whatever it is, that's when you see their true colors. Right now, they're scared shitless, and they're doing whatever they can to blame this all on the Federal Reserve and to they're trying to absolve themselves of the culpability. But the bottom line is, you've got the Republicans robbing the bank. You got the Democrats driving the getaway car. Or you've got the Democrats robbing the bank. You got the Republicans driving the getaway car. And the Federal Reserve is shooting out the window at the cops as they're chasing you. It doesn't even matter anymore. That's how fucked we are. We're in a situation where you've got a left wing, a right wing, and you got tail feathers on the same bird, and all of them are rotten. It doesn't even matter at this point. You're going to see the true face of this economy as soon as election day is over. Mark my words. Okay, first things first. Gas prices rise for 7 straight days. Here's where it's most expensive. The average price of gas in the U.S. increased for the 7th straight day Tuesday after more than 3 months of falling prices. And it's over $5 per gallon in 4 states amid tight supplies as Russia escalates its war in Ukraine and Hurricane Ian jeopardizes oil production in the Gulf of Mexico. Gas is the most expensive in California, where a gallon cost $5.88 on average, up from $5.46 last week. Nevada, Oregon, and Washington also saw jumps back over the $5 threshold. All right, let's keep going. The price of gas increased in 11 other states over the past week, with the biggest rises in Alaska, Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Experts believe the increase could be a result of the tight supply, partly because of... Now, I want you to understand something. What they're trying to do is they're trying to offload all of the blame to Russia versus Ukraine. Now, any American who's been paying attention for the past 5 years should immediately respond, well, why aren't we drilling our own oil? That's the first thing you should respond. If you've been paying even more attention, especially to me, the second thing you should say, why aren't we making friends with Venezuela to pump their oil? Now, these bullshit liberal liars, especially on MSNBC, I hate Rachel Maddow. These people are so disgusting to me. First thing they'll say is, oh, because you know what it is? The oil in Venezuela is dirty. Get the fuck out of here. Oil in Venezuela is dirtier. Yeah, because all of those years of refining techniques that we have can't help any of that, right? Understand something. As I said before, we should have passed laws to make it so that no politician could use oil out of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to help their politics. Our problem is that they haven't passed those laws. If we were forced as a country to have good politics instead of racist policies, instead of punitive policies on poor countries, right now, I swear to God, if I was president, gas would be for premium unleaded. You'd have $1.50. Because I'd open up friendship with Venezuela. I'd stop these ridiculous sanctions on Russia. I'd stop fucking with those people over there. because they're obviously better at this game of chess than we are. And believe me, you'd never think about a gallon of gas because it wouldn't be a problem. We're purposefully doing this. Some people believe the conspiracy is that they're trying to force us into electric cars. Okay, fine. If that's what you believe, maybe you're right. My thing is, if you're going to force us into electric cars, the first thing a critic's going to say is, yeah, but you're getting your electricity from fossil fuels. Now, if it was me and I was president, I would respond, oh, no. We're opening up nuclear power. That's what we're doing. We're going to use every form of nuclear power we got, and we're going to store all the radioactive waste in the middle of the fucking desert where there's no earthquakes and there's no groundwater. That's what I'd do. But again, creating more energy is bad for these people's politics because their politics revolve around creating scarcity. Scarcity allows them to point the finger at corporations. Scarcity allows them to blame others. Scarcity allows them to point at Russia versus Ukraine. Scarcity allows them to point at China. See, they're not interested. See, I think you're dealing with two different factions here. You're dealing with globalists, and you're also dealing with like neoliberals or something who want to create scarcity. See, the globalists want all of these countries to play nice, get together, be a one world government, make it easier for them to control the one world government. And then they want to make it so that, people work and people consume. That's what they really want. They want to make it so that Russia's making stuff that we're consuming. They want to make it so we're making stuff that they're consuming. China's making stuff we're consuming. They want to make it so that consumption is key. They want to make it so debt is key. But this other group, they want to tear all of this shit down. And I'm not exactly sure who that second group is. We know the globalists are on one side. But this whole thing with Russia v. Ukraine and then China v. Taiwan, they've pretty much guaranteed that globalism ain't happening no time soon. Nationalism has made a comeback. It has made a comeback in a way that they couldn't have imagined. But gas prices and energy prices, in my opinion, those are your best barometer for how your economy is doing. When gas prices and energy are low, your economy generally is going to be better. And it's very simple why. Energy is the ability to do work. If energy is cheap, food is cheap. If energy is cheap, shipping is cheap. If energy is cheap, everything is cheaper. We get our fucking energy from the sun. The sun's got enough power coming to us for the next 4.5 billion years before it gets ready to enter its red giant phase. And none of us are going to live to see that shit. And eventually after the red giant phase, it's going to turn to a white dwarf. But the bottom line is we got another 4.5 billion years of free energy. Free! Think about that. Free energy. 4.5 billion years of free energy come from the fucking sun. And yet you're telling me gas prices need to be $4 a gallon. Really? Really? No, this is politics. This is politics being played. That's what this is. This is politics being played. It's nothing more than politics being played. That's what this is. They're trying to create scarcity. They're trying to make it more difficult for you. And they're trying to control the scarcity. And then you can elect them because they promise you that they're going to do something about it. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. And that's what you're dealing with. I'm going to bottle the end very soon, but as you know, Elon Musk is the richest person in America. As the Dow has dropped, a lot of these other super mega rich people have lost a lot of money. But Elon Musk right now is the richest because Tesla runs very low debt and he's basically rich off his Tesla stock. Now, I don't know how that's going to change if he actually buys Twitter, which they're still talking about, and I don't know if that's going to go through, but the bottom line is Elon Musk is the richest person in America. Now they've talking about the tech billionaires because of the drop in the Dow. They've lost a lot of money. They've lost $315 billion in the past year. For most of them, that's not a big deal. Who cares, really? If you got $1 billion, you're doing fine. You're doing fine. But these guys got multiple billions of dollars. It says they've lost a combined $315 billion in net worth since the fall of 2021. The biggest losses have come from the biggest fortunes. Amazon shares are down 27%, taking $50 billion off Jeff Bezos' net worth. Microsoft stock's down 15%. helping lop 13.5 billion off of Steve Ballmer, and so forth and so on. It says Zoom is down 73%, but Zoom was a COVID stock. Zoom only escalated because of the fact that COVID locked down and nobody understood video conferencing very well except for Zoom and a couple of other video conferencing sites that were similar to Zoom. But once Zoom got pushed to its highs, Zoom had a dramatic collapse because other companies got in on that market. And Google Meets, for example, grew bigger than you ever expected it would. And Google Meets was free, from what I remember. And then you had the kids at home doing homeschool on the internet and everything, which turned out to be a nightmare. That turned out to be a disaster. You got these kids at home sleep in their beds. The class is running. These kids aren't even paying attention. You got kids playing Grand Theft Auto while the class is in session. They on their computer playing video games. They playing freaking Quake 3. You know, they playing Rainbow Six, not paying a goddamn bit of attention to those classes. So they figured out that shit was a nightmare. So they say Jeff Bezos, what is this? He lost 50 billion. Larry Page 30 billion. Sergey Brin 29.5 from Google, from Alphabet Google. Bill Gates lost 28 billion. Mackenzie Scott lost 20.8. Larry Ellison lost 16.3. Pierre Audemars 15.4. Steve Ballmer 13.5. Eric Yuan 10.6. Jack Dorsey 10.4. Yeah, they lost a lot of money. But let me tell you something. Now that I can bottle the end, let me tell you something. The one thing I was happy about seeing was right. Where was it? Well, okay, they say President Trump, former President Trump, supposedly he's up from 2.5 to 3.2. That's interesting. But the thing that I was happy, this right here is where I was happy. And that's the reason why I'm using this as a thumbnail. This bastard right here. Let me tell you something. You probably am seeing it right now. My account is restricted, as you can see on Facebook, simply because, you know what these bastards did to me? These bastards said that. So I just want you to understand why. You know what's funny? I just got a call from Cadillac, and they said that the Lyric is coming to Cadillac a little bit later, and I'm going to go see it. So I got to go wash up and wash my scooch out and make sure I'm nice and clean and smelling fresh so I can get down there and see that new Cadillac, because I know everything I need to know about the car. I just need to sit in it to feel how comfortable it is, and I'm sold. So anyway, this is what got my account restricted. And they're talking about you can't go live for 54 days. This right here got my account restricted. Now, never mind the fact that this is a fucking meme. Never mind the fact this is a meme. These bastards, they said, these pieces of shit, they said that this meme is sexual in nature and that it shows somebody's private life. Now, these fucking stupid motherfuckers either ignored the fact that this is a public figure, or they ignored the fact that this is a meme, or they ignored the fact that this is... No, I'm pretty sure they didn't ignore the fact that this is Joe Biden's son. And as you can see, the censorship is at an all-time high. They are desperate to protect this presidency. Absolutely. Now, meanwhile, if I posted negative shit about Trump's presidency, all of that would have just gone right through. No big deal. Now, they didn't care about that. But these bastards come after me after this meme, you little motherfucking Zuckerberg, you piece of shit. So bottom line is, he's lost half of his wealth. Good for him. In fact, very good for him. And I hope he loses it all. I really do. I hope he loses it all, and I hope he loses his mind. See, the bottom line is, when you screw with my freedom or my rights, you might as well have just canceled my entire account, because the thing about it is, I make my money on YouTube. I don't make any money on Facebook. In fact, on Facebook, I don't even have that many friends on my list because I've had to restart my account multiple times. And bottom line is, Facebook don't pay me. I don't pay Facebook. Facebook don't pay me. You might as well have canceled my account. But for you to purposefully antagonize me by claiming that certain things that I'm posting are violations when they clearly shouldn't be considered violations at all. Nah, man, I hope you lose all your money. I hope you lose all of your money. I hope you lose your mind. And then I hope you do something to yourself about it. That's what I hope. If that happens, I won't lose any sleep over it. Because when you screw with my rights or you screw with my freedoms, nah, it's time for you to go. That's how I feel about it. In so many words. But that's just where we are. So the thing about it is I am very, very, very happy. I'm very happy to see Zuckerberg lose this much money. I'm very happy. I hope he loses it all. He may not lose it all, but I can always hope because you never imagined you could have gotten here. Facebook, I believe, has lost like $500 billion. Because I remember the last time that I checked on Facebook, it was like when it was high, it was like what was it, like $200 a share. I think they said that they had lost like 300 million. In fact, let's just read it. It should say Zuckerberg has lost more than half of his personal fortune, a staggering 76.8 billion since September 2021. Now, I don't know how much Facebook itself has lost. Because first of all, their business strategy was absolutely well, okay, there's a couple of things that caused Facebook to lose a large amount of money. First of all, Apple changed its privacy policies, and I believe Google did too, where ultimately what they did was they made it so Facebook couldn't track you and couldn't target you with ads. That cost them a lot of money. The next thing that happened was TikTok started taking away their viewers. As you've probably noticed, YouTube and Facebook are very focused on short videos. Vine, years ago, Vine came out, and I think it was like you had a 6-second video. And that brought out a lot of creativity in people because, it's very hard to make a 6-second video. The thing about it is 6-second videos to the ADHD among us are extremely addicting. YouTube and Facebook have done their best to make shorts. Unfortunately, I think it's executed better on TikTok than it's executed on YouTube. YouTube, as I probably showed you in my community chat, has offered to pay you to make shorts, which is ultimately the big difference. Because as far as I know, I don't understand how to make money on TikTok. There's some girls who are influencers, and they basically make their money by showing their bodies off for the most part. But me personally, I'm not like a stripper or anything, so I don't have anything to really show off. I don't think any women are going to pay to see my black snake moan down here. So bottom line is I have to make my money on YouTube by putting up quality content that's longer than 6 seconds. So that's just where we are. But yeah, Facebook, Zuckerberg, Schmuckerberg as I call him, he's lost a lot of money. Now, he still has a bit of money. But hey, listen, the day is young. He could keep losing. Facebook was stupid in trying, first of all, in fucking with people with the censorship. But they were also extremely stupid by trying to double down on virtual reality. Just like with these Quest 2 headsets like I have. I bought my Quest 2 before it was called Meta. So I bought it when it was just Oculus. And they doubled down on this virtual reality shit. But the problem is these headsets are not good enough for all viewers to enjoy. And they're very expensive. For some people, they cause headaches, nausea, and so forth and so on. They bought this shit and I think maybe it's possible you could say that they got sucked in by the cryptocurrency craze. Because cryptocurrency had them convinced that the metaverse was the new big thing. Well, guess what? The metaverse was nothing more than a Ponzi scheme to move NFTs. That's what I believe. Now, virtual reality very well may be a big thing someday. But the problem is, if you really think about it, video gaming hasn't really changed since the days of Atari. What do I mean by that? Well, you have a system, you have a controller, you have a person sitting in front of a television some distance away from the television. There are benefits to that, believe it or not. The issue ultimately is that when you're sitting in front of a television, not only do you see what's going on, but everybody else sees what's going on, and they see the exact same thing you see. That was one of the problems with curved televisions. A curved television, unless you're sitting dead center, that display does not look to everybody sitting around it that it does to the person who's sitting dead center. So curved televisions, as you saw, curved televisions came out and they died. Curved monitors are different because a person who's using a computer is prone in that position sitting right in front of the computer. So a curved monitor, just like the one I have, these things look great. They curve with the curvature of your eyesight and your eye line. So they look bigger than they actually are. But when you move back away from them, turn them off, they look even bigger than they actually are, which is amazing. But a curved television in a bedroom or a living room, those basically died. Not only that, 3D television died for the same reason. It's because everybody doesn't see the same thing. The whole point of video gaming, especially if you have multiplayer gaming, is for everybody to see the exact same thing while you're playing. If you don't see the exact same thing, it's not as fun. It's not as good an experience. Bottom line is, video gaming hasn't changed since the days of Atari. You still have your Xbox, you still have your PlayStation, you still have a box, you still have a controller, you're still sitting in front of a television. They've tried to do cloud gaming. Cloud gaming doesn't work in many places because the game is not local. The game is on the cloud. If you live in some countries, you have internet download limits. You have caps, they call it, caps on your downloads and your download speed. Playing multiplayer games is laggier than playing locally on a machine that you have right there and then. As I'm saying, video gaming has not changed since the days of Atari. You've got a box, you've got video games locally, you're playing it on a television or a big monitor or a screen, and everybody sits around it watching what you're doing. The problem with VR is, in order for that to work, everybody has to have one of these headsets. These fucking headsets are $400 the last time I checked, $399. I think I got mine for like $300. I think it was $299 if I'm not mistaken. I don't even remember how much it was. I think it was $250 or $299 or something like that. I got it from Walmart. They doubled down on virtual reality, and virtual reality basically failed. And I shouldn't say it failed. It's just that the technology's not there yet. There are a lot of people who couldn't even play games like Half-Life Alyx. There are a lot of people who never played Resident Evil 7 using virtual reality because they couldn't afford the headset. They got the PlayStation, they got the game, but they couldn't afford the headset. Virtual reality is not there yet. It's just not there yet. Facebook doubled down on virtual reality. They doubled and tripled down on virtual reality. Meta, when they changed their names to Meta, for whatever reason, well, basically all you got to do is look at how much money they lost and you basically see how things turned out. So to Schmuckerberg, all I can say is you suck. You suck as a business person at this point. Most people accuse you of stealing Facebook, just like in that Social Media, the movie, and all those people you paid off because they accused you of stealing it. So the bottom line is, let me tell you something. If you lose all of your money, I can give a fuck. But this whole thing about you selectively attacking accounts, and I know it's not you. I know it's the people who work for you, but they're doing what you're telling them to do. So the thing about it is Congress has had you in front of them a number of times saying that you've been violating certain guidelines and rules of the internet or this, that, and other. And unfortunately, these Congress people are so corrupt at this point, and there's so many of them are so old and they are totally ignorant of what they're dealing with, because they don't see the bigger picture. Facebook is not a social media app. Facebook is a personal information registry. They are a data collection they're a data collection registry. Facebook is exactly what people always were afraid of when you had conspiracy theorists talking about the government has a huge computer called the Beast. This is exactly what that is. George Orwell told us that some shit like this was coming and we ignored him. Some of us ignored him. Bottom line is, this isn't about dating and stuff. This isn't about social media. This is about collecting your information and selling it. That's what this is. It's a data mining operation. Congress should have put strict limits on this by now. I know they couldn't have done it in the beginning, but they should have done this a long time ago. Had Congress done what they should have done, all of those young kids and young girls who committed suicide because they were being bullied on Facebook, all Facebook did is they changed a couple of settings and that's it. They never paid the price for that. And they just got away with it. Same thing goes for Instagram. People getting kidnapped, girlfriends and boyfriends killing each other on Instagram. They got away with it. Congress should have regulated this shit a long time ago. If you're going to say that this is a private company and they can do what they want and it's not First Amendment applicable, if you're going to say that this is not a matter of Congress, then you have to put restrictions on data and how our data is used and how our data is collected and how our data is sold, because now you're talking about a violation of our Fourth Amendment rights. A lot of people click onto these things. They never gave these bastards the right to sell your information. They never did. They never gave them the right to say, yeah, well, we're going to follow you all day long based on where your cell phone is, and we're going to know everything you're doing. Some of them may even have access to your camera and mic, and you don't even know it. And I have to appreciate Apple again. Apple has a green dot and a yellow dot that tells me exactly when my mic or camera is on. And they put that there just so you know. And people like Zuckerberg and the Facebook thing, they can't stand the fact that the privacy policies of these companies have exceeded their grasp on our data. So that's basically all I have to say. I don't have to continue with this too long. That's all I really have to say. We're in a situation now where this market is untrustworthy and it's falling. There are buying opportunities, but for the most part, you got to focus on what you're buying and why you're buying it more now than ever. Buy the dip, buy the sale, but you got to focus on what you're buying and why you're buying it. Otherwise, you risk losing a lot of money like Schmuckerberg here.